这个故事如果你听起来不累，那么你的听力水平在生活中是完全够用的。要持续提升英文，记得点击订阅按钮。我们开始吧。
He told her he had bigger fish to fry, and that one sentence changed the way she saw him. In a small river town in England, long before cars and phones, a boy named Thomas spent his days by the water. The year was somewhere in the late 1600s. The river moved slow and brown, and men stood on its banks with long rods made of wood. Fishing was not a hobby back then. It was dinner. It was rent. It was survival. Thomas was the son of a cook who worked at a busy inn. The inn sat near the bridge, where traders crossed with carts full of grain and wool. Every evening, his mother fried fish in a wide iron pan. Oil popped and cracked. The smell filled the street. People said her fried fish was the best in town. One cold afternoon, Thomas ran into the kitchen with a problem. A group of boys had mocked him by the river. They said he was slow. They said he would never catch a fish big enough to matter. His face burned with shame. He begged his mother to come outside and speak to their parents. She did not look up from the pan. The oil was hot, and 3 fat trout lay in the middle, turning golden. She said, without anger and without comfort, that she had bigger fish to fry. Thomas froze. He thought she did not care. He thought the boys were right. He stormed out of the kitchen and back to the river, ready to prove himself. The sky was gray, and the wind cut through his thin coat. He cast his line again and again. Small fish bit the hook, but he threw them back. He wanted something large. Something that would silence laughter. Hours passed. His hands grew numb. Just as he was about to give up, the line pulled hard. Harder than ever before. The rod bent like a bow. His heart raced. He dug his heels into the mud. The fish fought deep under the water. For a moment he feared the line would snap. A man nearby shouted advice, but Thomas could not hear him clearly. All he heard was the rush of blood in his ears. The line jerked left, then right. He almost fell into the river. Then, with one final pull, a heavy silver body broke the surface. It was the biggest fish he had ever seen. He dragged it to shore, shaking with cold and pride. The boys who had mocked him stood in silence. One of them touched the fish and said nothing. That silence felt better than any apology. Thomas ran home, bursting through the inn door, holding the fish high. He expected praise. He expected his mother to smile wide and hug him. She looked at the fish, nodded once, and moved it to the table. Then she pointed at the 3 trout still frying. Guests were waiting. Plates were empty. She said again that she had bigger fish to fry. This time, Thomas heard something different in her voice. It was not cold. It was steady. The inn was full. Travelers were hungry. Money was tight. Those 3 trout meant coins on the counter and bread for the week. His fight by the river was loud in his heart, but small in the world. That night, after the guests left, she finally spoke more. She told him the phrase had been said by cooks and fish sellers for years. When a pan is full and oil is hot, you do not stop to argue about crumbs on the floor. You deal with what feeds the house. Bigger fish to fry meant larger duties. It meant knowing what truly matters. The phrase began to travel. Traders carried it from town to town. Writers used it in plays and books. By the early 1700s, it appeared in print. People used it when they had work more important than gossip. It moved from kitchens to courts, from rivers to busy city streets. Thomas grew older. The river still ran brown and steady, but he changed. When boys argued over small bets, he walked away. When men in the market shouted over tiny debts, he kept his focus on the larger trade. Some called him quiet. Some called him proud. He knew he was choosing his fish. Years later, a real test came. A flood hit the town after days of heavy rain. Water rushed through the streets. Barrels floated past the inn. People screamed for help. Thomas, now strong and broad, saw his chance to prove more than his skill with a rod. He tied ropes from door to door. He carried children to higher ground. He broke open storage rooms to share dry food. In the middle of the chaos, one man tried to drag him into a fight over a broken cart. Thomas looked at the man, then at the rising water. He said he had bigger fish to fry, and turned back to the work that saved lives. That was the day the phrase settled deep inside him. It was no longer about trout in a pan. It was about focus in a storm. It was about choosing the task that keeps people safe, fed, and moving forward. Language holds history like a river holds stones. Each phrase carries marks of the hands that used it first. Have bigger fish to fry started with oil and fire, with hunger and trade. Over time it grew into a quiet guide for daily life. Think about your own river. Everyday small problems splash at your feet. A rude comment online. A missed bus. A friend who forgot to text back. They feel big in the moment. Your line tugs hard, and your heart beats fast. But somewhere in your life, there are larger fish waiting. A skill you want to build. A family member who needs your time. A dream that asks for steady work. The oil in your pan is hot. The choice is yours. When you say you have bigger fish to fry, you are not running away. You are deciding what deserves your fire. You are stepping past noise and turning toward meaning. The river keeps moving. The pan keeps sizzling. What you choose to cook will shape the story people tell about you.
能以非母语者的身份专注学习到现在，这本身就是很棒的进步。真诚感谢你的观看。如果你觉得本期内容实用，点赞或留言让我知道你的想法，这对我持续创作非常重要。我们下期见。